And we're still going to discussing about the post-budget 2024 with the service tax rate is set to undergo to an increase arising from the current 6% to 8%. It's important to note that this particular adjustment will not be applicable to the food and beverage sector, nor will it impact the telecommunication industry. Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim revealed this while presenting the budget 2024 in Parliament on October 13. Is it increasing the SST from 6% to 8% necessary for the rakyat and even the country? And to discuss further, we have our guest ready on the line, Raja Kumaran, the indirect tax leader, PwC Malaysia. I want to say thank you very much, Raja, for joining us. Fantastic to have you here. Maybe you could share with us firstly, what is your overall thoughts on all the new and revised taxes under Belanjawan 2024?
Generally, I think the government has taken the interest of the rakyat and not to burden them. And therefore, whatever new measures the government has announced during the 2024 budget seems to be trying to manage the impact on the rakyat. In the recent past, there has been many discussions on the need to increase government tax revenue, and as well as to increase the tax base. And this can only be done either by the reintroduction of GST or to increase the tax rate of the present SST. I think as the Prime Minister has alluded that maybe it is not the right time to introduce GST. The government has no choice but to increase the tax rate for services. And however, if we notice the increase of 6 to 8% seems to be only on services that are not normally used by the rakyat or the public or the consumer, public consumer. For example, they are for professional services like architecture, accountancy, legal, hotel accommodations, betting and gaming, nightclubs, courier companies, advertising. So if you look at it, it seems to be the 8% is not directly, will it have a direct impact, however, will not have a direct impact on consumer. And the direct, and things like food and beverages, telecommunication services, I also understand parking and logistics services will also be at 6%. These are services that are normally used by the common man on the street, and they have decided to keep that at 6%. But I think it's important to realize that it will have indirect impact on rakyat. I think we need to take that. I think we need to accept that there will be indirect tax impact. Because now businesses will have to pay extra for extra 2% on services they consume. For example, legal services, accounting, audit services, and other professional services. So I'm sure the business will then pass on this extra cost to the public or to their customer. Therefore, it's very important for the government to ensure that businesses do not unnecessarily increase prices or try to use this opportunity to make extra profits. So therefore, the Anti-Profiteering Act need to be enforced strictly. They should monitor prices more closely to ensure that these services which will indirectly impact the rakyat doesn't adversely impact them. The other good thing is that I think the government realizes that the increase in this 2% will have impact on the rakyat. Therefore, the Prime Minister in Parliament yesterday announced that the government is going to give out cash handouts. I think that's a very good move because then rather than using subsidy, cash handouts, you can target who are the people need and they give it directly to them. So I think it's a better economic management, and I think that's important. And this actually is a prelude to introduction of GST. In case government decides to increase GST in the future, this cash handout should continue. And although cash handouts may help the B60s, but what about the middle income? I think the middle income people will also be impacted indirectly by this increased service tax. But what they should do, government should think is whether they should reduce income tax to help them match to balance off their expense. So these are some things that the government can think of in the future. And I think they have no choice. As I said, the government has to need revenue for development. And but I think it's very important to manage this increase.
Like you've mentioned, the SST might affect the middle-income Malaysians and especially. For instance, as you share, even if the food and beverages sector is exempt from the SST increase, restaurant owners could be affected by higher costs for necessary equipment. This could lead to higher prices for consumer, and that's all of us here, which you have mentioned indirectly, it will impact the consumer as well. So from here, some have mentioned or questioned, is it necessary to do it now? And also, few other also comment, is it the increase of 6 from 8, is this just a disguise as a form of GST? What's your thought on this?
I think, I think it's a pollute to GST. They're going to introduce GST, I think, in the near future. It can't be too long away. Maybe because, as I said, services is the services that have gone to 8% is services that are normally used by businesses. So the rakyat is not directly impacted. I think this, and although putting service tax has one bad advantage, i.e. it has a cascading effect, i.e. prices for the tax will be cascaded down the supply chain. But as I said, as the government said, GST is a good tax, but maybe it's not the right time to introduce. My take is they should introduce GST as soon as possible. Do not delay it. What's important is you need to have a very good support system. In the past, GST, one of the issues of GST was the refund mechanism where refunds were delayed. I think the government should relook at those things, give back the refund, and or if you want to do some verification, do it later after you are given back the money, because exporters and businesses need to have a good cash flow. And if you look at businesses, normally it gives 30 to 60-day credit terms, and to make them pay GST even before they are paid by their customer would have a strain on their cash flow. So I think government has, I think as government said, they need revenue because they have so many plans and for development. And so I think the 8%, it seems to be very targeted. I mean, they did not increase 6%, 8% on all goods, all services. They are kept beverages and food at 6%, parking at 6%. So I think it's a more planned increase. And in my mind, to me, I think it's a pollute to GST, and I hope they bring GST quickly introduce GST quickly.
As we understand that the implementation of these taxes is for the benefit of the country, especially if we're talking about development. And definitely when we come through this implementation, maybe you can share with us what are some of the ways that measures would be taken to address any issues or gaps in the implementation of these taxes?
Oh, okay. I think, as I said earlier, they need to explain to people. People should be aware that what's the impact of this GST, what's their rights. And things like, I think I just read a news article that workshops, service centers, car motor workshops will have to charge 8% on their labor costs. And that will indirectly impact the rakyat. I think what's important is the government to monitor which people need help, who are the people who need help, and give cash contribution to them. So it's important for the government to monitor and to see who are the people, which brand of people this service tax will impact, and try to give some kind of assistance to them. So it's important for government to monitor, and I think the Anti-Profiting Act should be strictly enforced to ensure that businesses do not use this as an opportunity and increase prices by 2%. The prices shouldn't go up by 2% because service tax is only a small part of their cost of doing business. Therefore, the increment shouldn't be that large.